Hello Internet, this is Whispering Whim, bringing you yet another grocery haul today. No special occasions this month, so it'll be kind of a basic grocery haul. That's okay. I'm still recovering from last month, which was my guy's 40th birthday, and I made lots of food for that. And had a lot of leftovers, particularly on the chips and dip category of food. So my attempt to eat healthy last month was a little hampered by the fact there was so many tasty snacks in the household that actually we needed to eat up, because I made like onion dip and the sour cream doesn't last forever, and hummus, and oh my goodness. But that's okay. That's all over, and this month will be better. First up, we have some potatoes. I like golden potatoes, and I use them for pretty much everything, even places where normally you would use a russet, other than like a classic baked potato. Like true baked potato probably should be a russet, but everything else I think I prefer the goldens for. Next up, in our wine bag that never has wine in it, although it does have some alcohol, we have a bottle of New Amsterdam, which is my vodka of choice, especially for the price point. It's not super expensive, definitely not bottom shelf, but it's not expensive either. And I think the quality is really good on that one. And as a little aside, my guy says vodka just tastes like burning. In fact, his whole family says that. So it's not just him. And they're wrong. I feel like different vodkas do, in fact, have a difference to them. I don't know if you'd call it a flavor difference, but there's a difference to them. And Mythbusters backed me up on this. So, anyways, I think my palate can be trusted, and that one's a decent one, but who knows? Who knows? A lot of things are subjective, right? Okay. Got some canned tomatoes. Going to be doing lots of tomato dishes this month for whatever reason. That's how it kind of panned out for me. I've been trying. It's really hard because I cook almost every day of the week. Like, on average, you would say I cook 7 days a week, but occasionally we go out or he does a thing. So I cook a lot, and we're trying to stay within a budget, so that really narrows down what we can make. And I'm always struggling to figure out the next thing that's not expensive, because there's a lot of tasty food out there that just requires too many extra ingredients. Okay, next up, some red pepper tomato soup. That's for my lunches. Nice healthy little soup, even though it's getting pretty hot out there. Like, even right now as we're filming, I'm like, oh, a little sweaty. And it's only going to get worse. It's only June. Although June means we're halfway through the year already. How weird is that? Well, what did someone I knew, I think it's a friend. Yeah, I know which friend now. He said that the years are short, but the days are long. And I kind of felt that in my bones, because it's so true. Okay, next up we have some minced garlic. This will be a first for my videos. I have never used jar garlic before. Being not really a gourmet, but a food-oriented person, I usually just choose to use fresh garlic for everything. And occasionally when I'm not using fresh garlic, I do have the powdered garlic. Some recipes, don't want the added liquid or bulk. But on the food forums I've been on lately, there's this reoccurring theme, or it keeps coming up from different commenters about how minced garlic, in the jar, maybe not exactly the same, but in most instances it's perfectly acceptable. And honestly, I'm at that point where I'm ready to try if only because I put garlic in so many dishes. We will never be attacked by vampires in this household, I can tell you. We are big garlic eaters, to the point where if a recipe says like 2 cloves of garlic, I double it. If the recipe says 5 cloves of garlic, I 1.5 times it. Or maybe double it depending on the volume. But garlic. I love garlic. I love it so much. Okay. That was my PSA for the day, I think. Next up, we have some traditional pizza sauce. This is for a casserole that I make. It's cauliflower, noodles, marinara, tomato, chicken, garlic, and cheese. And it tastes, oh, and pepperoni. I had pepperoni. Basically, it's kind of mimicking all the ingredients of a pizza without the crust, because crusts are, a little calorie dense and high in carbohydrates. Speaking of high in carbohydrates, we have some tortillas, which are just basic old tortillas. So they have 27 grams of carbohydrate, although only 1 gram is added sugar, so that's good. But I had mentioned how I just feel a little stagnant about my food choices. And, a lot of that can't be helped because we like certain things and certain things are cheaper and blah, blah, blah. But if you Google like random food generator, you can come up with a whole bunch of sites where you define a few parameters and you click a button and it just generates meal ideas. And I was playing with one, and most of the meal ideas were kind of, let's do pork tacos instead of beef tacos. But what came up was a barbecue beef quesadilla. And I don't normally cook quesadillas as a dinner item. In order to justify this in my mind, we're going to have like a huge salad on the side or something. But I don't know, something about it just sounded so good. Like quesadilla, tortilla, cheese, some shredded chicken, some barbecue sauce, maybe saute onions and jalapenos together. Yeah. I'm going to try that tonight because I'm pretty excited about it. Okay. Next up, we have some Nutella little pastries, I guess. What would they call themselves? They just say they're crispy wafers. Would you call this a cookie? A pastry? A candy? I don't know what category that falls under, but it is a dessert type item for my guy's lunches. Try to give him as much variety as I can, and that's not a thing that he's had before, but he does like Nutella. Although I think I like Nutella better than he does, or more than he does. So there is that. Moving along, we have some good old V8 tomato juice. I kind of have a off and on relationship with V8, but I feel like it's on right now. And then this crinkly old package is some recycled scrubbers, so dish sponges. I have been previously, let's see here, I'll bring it out, this gross little guy, been using these, which are made with plant fiber. And I feel a little bit better about the plant fiber than I do the recycled fiber, only because plastic can only be recycled so many times before it's kind of useless. But the plant fiber sponges, they die so quick. And I know you're supposed to replace your sponge, like I've heard once a month, once every 3 months, but definitely a few times a year, right? But like the scrubby part just, it dies so quickly. So we're gonna give these a go. I'll probably switch back to the plant fiber ones, but for now, this'll do, I think. Following that, we have my guilty pleasure. As always, the pre-made spice blends. So today we have black garlic parmesan. This one, what I love to do with it is that I roast some Brussels sprouts. And then about halfway through the roasting, I'll add in chicken and this stuff with some oil, more oil because there's usually a little in the pan already, and cook it all together as a one dish meal. And like, you have to be careful because it can get a little salty, but other than that, it's really tasty. And then we have zesty herb. Last month I had used this, but instead of doing the proper proportions that are kind of described on the back, I just did a dash of the liquids and stuff. And so it was more of a paste. And then I added a little bit, that's hiding in the corner. I added a little bit of habanero oil to it. And I don't know, it was like a paste thing. And my guy really liked that. So we're going to have to do that again. And then finally, we have garlic, herb, and wine marinade mix, which I think I will use the proper instructions when I make that, just for the variety. Because one of the things I've noticed with these taste mixes, spice mixes, is that a lot of them, especially the herb kind of ones, zesty herb, urban one, can start to taste the same after a while if you, I don't know, don't take some effort to make it taste different. Anyways, moving right along, we have some roasted mixed nut granola bars. Those are for my guys' lunches, right? And then we have some 12 bean mix. I will be making a 12 bean soup. Traditionally that's made with ham hock, but it's still surprisingly expensive right now. I guess because like making a bone broth is so trendy for keto and things like that, that they can justify the expensive price. But like, it was $3.28 a pound for ham hock, which, let's be honest, this is mostly just a bone that doesn't have a lot of meat on it. And I could get full chicken breast for $3.28 a pound. So I did not buy the ham hock. We're going to make it with sausage, and it'll still be fine. But I'm a little annoyed that all the cheap foods are like getting so expensive that they're just the same as the mid-range foods. Like, how does that work out? There needs to be things that are cheaper than other things, right? All right. Anyways, I have some manicotti, which I guess are little tube-shaped pasta deals. I love to make stuffed shells, and I usually buy these big old jumbo shells, right? But Winco didn't have them, and I know the Save Mart never carries them. So I got these instead, because it looks like you basically do the same thing with them. Although because they're so long, I'll need like a pastry bag or something to get the filling in there. But it's tasty. It's like ricotta cheese and spinach and chicken and garlic. Good stuff. Not exactly the healthiest, but not every meal can be a salad, right? Although I'll probably serve myself a salad with that. Okay. We have some kidney beans. I'm going to be making a meatball soup here soon-ish. And kidney beans are kind of just a nice little added protein for that. I got some better than bouillon chicken, and I've sung the praises of that enough that I will not bore you guys this time around. Just give it a month. I'll do it again, I'm sure. And then this big old bag is not quite as full as it looks. I decided not to use it for cooler items because I did my shopping yesterday. So it does not fit in my fridge like that. So I did not use it for cooler items, even though this is technically a cooler bag. Okay. First up, some good old wheat bread. I was really, really tempted to just get white bread. I like white bread better. I'm one of those heathens that wants my carbs to be as, blanched as possible. But the nutritional difference is just too big to ignore. Like, I know a couple of grams of fiber per slice may sound kind of small, but if I'm eating 2 slices and then there's other food examples that are like that, it adds up, right? Fiber is good. Is I don't know. Trying to eat well is such a task. It's a crime that is so difficult. Okay. Next up, we have some cut green beans. Oh, that's a fun noise. Why are they squeaking? That's so bizarre. I've never... Huh. Now I'm going to have to test this with another can of green beans in the future. Are they squeaky all the time? Anyways, green beans. I love eating green beans. My guy, not so much. He tolerates them, and that's about it. But as a vegetable that I do not have to chop or season or otherwise be fancy with, I kind of like them. Although my mom's favorite thing to do with green beans, and when I'm feeling decadent, I'll do this too, is she will heat them up, drain all the water out, add butter and breadcrumbs. That was like a thing that we ate. Actually pretty good, but butter and breadcrumbs just adds fat and carbs without any good nutrition, so I try to avoid doing it these days. And then we have 2 lonely bananas. I love bananas, but I just don't eat them very fast, so 2 is enough. Got some strawberry donuts for my guy's weekend breakfast, because he's spoiled and he gets not only donuts, but bacon as well. And last but not least, nice big old bag of onions. Love me some onions. Guess I just like all the aromatics. All right, moving along to our cooler items. We have some artichoke, jalapeno, and Parmesan dip. I feel so bad that I got this, but so birthday party happened. I made a bunch of dips, brought some chips, all things that, I was willing to take home if nobody ate any of it. And, on our Facebook invite, said bringing food was optional, but let me know what you're bringing if you're bringing something, right here. Almost no one did that. And I panicked that there might not be enough food because no one was stepping up and saying, hey, I'll bring some chips or whatever. And we got so many chips. Like, just a ridiculous amount of chips. I still have unopened bags. But we did finally manage to get through the dip part. There was less of that for whatever reason, a lot less. Comparatively speaking, it was still weeks worth of dip. But anyways, I still have all these chips, and I'm like, well, they're good lunch items, so I picked up a few more new dips to go with those chips, but only a few, and it'll be easier for my diet than it was, I hope. Anyways, this just sounded tasty. Artichoke, jalapeno, and Parmesan. Come on now. Doesn't that sound tasty? Okay. Then we've got some mozzarella cheese. And here we have not 1, but 2 kielbasa. I picked up 1 for the 12 bean soup, since I'm not using ham this time around. And then I picked up another one because I just planned on having it's just a sausage and potato kind of a night later on. So, and then we have some pepperonis. These are packaged by the grocery store, and they were a tiny bit cheaper than the name brand ones, so I went with them. Probably won't be much of a difference. some good old Parmesan cheese. I love Parmesan cheese. And then we've got ricotta cheese, which is really good for the stuffed shells. I don't like it typically though. So whenever there's leftovers, I don't know, I think I'm just going to shove the whole thing in my recipe this time, even though I'm only supposed to use like half. Because do you just eat ricotta cheese? Who does that? I'm sure a lot of people do that actually. I don't know why I don't like it. I feel like I should, but I don't. Not on its own. Okay. Anyways, moving along. We have some butter, and in one of these bags will be yet another box of butter. And the reason for that is there's always a section at the beginning of this particular grocery store that just has random things. Usually they're sale items. Sometimes it's just, hey, don't forget your butter today. And I went to that section. You know, you have to go through that section. It's the entrance. And butter was in it, right? And I was like, well, I do need butter today, but is it a little too early to put it in the cart? Because, you know, it's a cooler item. I usually do all my dry goods before I go to the refrigerated section. And apparently I did add it to the cart, but by the time I had made it all the way to the refrigeration section, I couldn't remember if I had. And my pile of stuff was high enough that, like, I tried to rifle through it, but I couldn't find butter. And I was like, yeah, I probably didn't pick any up. And then when I checked out, I found the other block of butter. So long story short, I have 2 pounds of butter, but I go through butter often enough that that's not really a big concern. And then, guilty pleasure time, some good old-fashioned bologna. Bologna is like, I don't know if this is common everywhere, but it's like mashed up meat that they like form into logs and cut, and I do enjoy it once in a while. It's not great, you know, it has all sorts of things in it. Sodium phosphates, potassium chloride, sodium propionate, sodium decatonate. There's all the different 8s and some, yeah. Anyways, when you're trying to avoid preservatives, this is what you avoid. So I haven't had any bologna in quite some time, and I have resisted for 2 shopping trips, but I just kept like stopping and looking at it and being like wistful about eating some fried bologna, because that's the way I like it, is fried. And I finally was like, okay, you can have the bologna, get it out of your system, but you are calorie counting on those days to at least make up for the fact that you're eating junk food in the form of pretend meat. Okay. Next up, we have those bacon ends. What do they call it? Bacon ends and pieces. This is really great if you're gonna like, make bacon as part of like a saute thing with vegetables, whatnot. It's a little annoying when you use it as breakfast bacon. I've complained about that before, but I had a couple of things that I'm going to do with bacon outside of cooking it for breakfast this month, so I figured I'd go with this, the end pieces things, because it is a lot cheaper than just straight up slices of bacon. Okay. Next up, we have some celery, and I am glad that it's like the whole celery thing. Past couple of times I've gotten celery, I've gotten like one of those bags where it's pre-chopped, and that's not the way to go with celery. It just isn't. Like, you think all this leafiness is like a waste? Not a waste. Great for stock, and the leaves in the very center, the heart of the celery, have like really concentrated celery flavor. So like if you're trying to add a bit more herbiness to a soup, they're really great to add, kind of like where you would add parsley. But you could also add them to salads to give it a bit of like a different zing. Kind of, it's a little on the bitter end, but I like it. So I'm glad that I have celery it'll have its heart still. Okay. Speaking of hearts, we have some romaine hearts. If you're a salad person, it is so, like, it's inconvenient to chop your lettuce, but it takes like 2 minutes. And it lasts so much longer in this form than, a bag. That once you open it, you have like 2 days to eat it. And then we have an eggplant or an aubergine. Aubergine? I'm going to have to Google that at some point, how to actually pronounce eggplant in everywhere else but US. But anyways, long story short, I made that moussaka, right? I finally did it. And I did end up using lamb because right the day before I was going to make it, I was in a grocery store that had some on sale just randomly. I was like, it's meant to be. I made it, and then I tasted the things as I went, and I'd never really eaten eggplant before. It was not my childhood home, definitely would not eat eggplant. And when you're at, like, say, Olive Garden, why would you choose eggplant over chicken parmesan, right? But I really enjoyed just fried eggplant, like far more than I thought I would. Now for the moussaka itself, it wasn't bad. It was definitely edible, but I think the whole what was it? Not cardamom, nutmeg and cinnamon in the meat was a little different for me. And then the lamb itself, because we don't eat game meat very often, I have very little exposure to it. It was I don't know. My brain tried to tell me that it was bad beef instead of like a different kind of protein. So I don't know if I'll do the moussaka again, but if I, randomly got served moussaka at a dinner party, I know I would enjoy it. So that's a victory. But the bigger victory is I now have another vegetable that I genuinely like to eat. And the more vegetables you like to eat, the better. All right. Finishing off this bag is some good old cauliflower. And this will be for that pizza casserole I was telling you guys about previously. And then we're almost at the end of the cooler bag. First up, we have some snow peas, or depending on my grocery store, sometimes they call these Chinese peas for some reason. They're definitely different from the classic snap pea, sugar pea. They're a lot thinner. The cell membrane is not as starchy, I think. But this is my favorite form of pea. Like, I could almost just eat it as like a snack. But my favorite thing to do is to blanch it and then give it a quick fry with some butter, and at the very end, bam, garlic. And I'll have to debate whether that should be fresh garlic or jarred garlic now that I have such a thing. Got some mushrooms, continuing my basically my love-hate relationship with mushrooms. Like, even just picking them up, if my finger accidentally like pushed into this inner membrane there where the spores would actually live, I got all grossed out again. And I'm like, I've been eating mushrooms for months now. At what point do I get over the ick factor? You're right. At what time do I decide that I like mushrooms and I'm not going to be grossed out by the fact that they're mushrooms? I don't know if it'll ever happen. Oh, people are weird. I'm weird, at least. I think people are in general too, though. And then we have some green chili peppers. These are Pasilia? It starts with a P, definitely. I can't remember the name of them, but they're very mild. But this is what I usually use for my falafel. And I got 2 of them because I've been making myself a lot of falafel. I work from home generally, most of the time. And so I can have a hot lunch. And what I love about falafel is that I can just blend up a batch of it, and then that's like 4 servings for me is what I get out of it. So then I just fry them up the day of. It takes a few minutes, and I get protein, I get fiber, I get more fat than I probably should because I use more oil than I need to. But not a terrible, terrible meal when, the alternative is eating chips and dips. Got some good old-fashioned eggs here. I will be making stuffed bell peppers and maybe a meatloaf later on in the month. So eggs are good for both of those applications. Here's that other pound of butter that, is just hiding in my cart. I say hiding, but I genuinely forgot about it. And then we got a whole bunch of jalapenos. And I'm going to be doing a couple of things with them. But one of the things I was hoping to do was jalapeno poppers. And I realized as I started unloading this haul that I definitely did not buy any cream cheese, which is kind of quintessential to the jalapeno popper experience. So that will be a task for one of the auxiliary shopping trips. And here we have some hot salsa to help us go through all those extra chips. Like we have a random bag of tortilla chips that someone brought. And I can't figure out what they brought it for because there was no like salsa or queso or bean dip. They might have just brought a bag of chips. I don't know. But the nice thing about salsa is that it's pretty low calorie. Per 2 tablespoons is only 10 calories. So this is a good alternative to like say a bean dip or sour cream or something, which is what I would prefer to eat my tortilla chips with. And then we have some Mexican 4 cheese. Can't have enough cheese in this household, right? And then some string cheese. And that finishes out our cooler bag. I do have like 2 things in the freezer. I'll go ahead and grab them out. Why not? Just give us a little extra volume to the video. Okay, so there's technically 3 things, but 2 are very similar. We have some garlic knots, right? When I make dinner, I usually refrain from having a starch, unless I make potatoes. I really like potatoes. So I'll eat that, but like if it's just like spaghetti and he wants a side of bread, I throw in garlic knots or whatever I have on hand. And he can eat the bread. Okay. And finishing out, we have 2 bags of frozen vegetables. This one is the Asian stir fry. It has broccoli, carrots, onions, red peppers, celery, water chestnuts, and mushrooms. And then this bag has green beans, broccoli, onions, mushrooms, and red peppers. So pretty similar, although slightly different. And I hear that the maintenance people are mowing or weed whacking or something. So it's a good thing we got through most of the video. And then with that, it's shout out time. And I just opened up my thing because it's easier to see who I need to shout out to if I pull up my comments section. And I am noticing that there are 2 comments I had not even seen yet. YouTube used to email me when people commented, and it doesn't anymore, and I don't get any notifications. So I'm sad. If I take forever to talk to you, I apologize because I love commenting to you guys. So I'll have to figure out if there's like a setting or something that I can change to get notified again. Because the truth of the matter is I try not to hang around on YouTube all that much outside of doing the videos. Like I do enjoy YouTube once in a while, but I'm more of a doer than a watcher. Anyways, thank you to Beachin ASMR. They left a lovely comment. Love your videos. Thank you for the time, tips, and tricks you put into them. So that's very sweet. Very sweet. Thank you. And Hot Sauce 188 has commented. Thank you to Traby Maybe, Katie Patola, and Max. And what the heck? We'll do one more. Vilhar PVP. Thank you guys for commenting, even if YouTube doesn't tell me that I'm getting those comments. And I will see you guys next time. Nighty night.